Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You're tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. I'm back in the studio after unplanned absentee yesterday. Shaun Yurtkuran is here in the studio with me, heavy panting over there.
Yeah, I left my earphones in the car, so I had to run and get them.
The stairs are hell. If y'all don't know, WYAB is actually located upstairs here. The only upstairs part of this entire shopping center is our studio. There is no elevator. It is but there's Shaun and I do work out enough that we should have no excuse for being
out of breath.
for being out of breath for walking up the stairs. But look, man, it's your daily dose of reality radio. We got a big one planned for you today. We're streaming worldwide on all the video platforms in 4K all day. Clay and Shaun 4K. If we were rappers, that would be our name. I think Clay 4K rolls off the tongue a little better than Shaun 4K. We'll have to figure out something, Shaun in stereo.
Right.
Something like that. We'll figure something out.
Something.
We need a nickname for the Turk over there. I don't know.
Well, that is my nickname, Turk.
It's really hard to beat the Turk, really.
Yeah. That's always, I told you that story when they used to call me that at the DA's office, like in my late 20s, and now that I'm 45, I run into those guys. I'm like, can you stop calling me that? It's like I'm a middle-aged dude that takes like cholesterol meds. Like, do you get a nickname when you're, when you're 70? I guess they do. It is the South, right? It is kind of common.
We all get nicknames. Well, look, man, we're streaming on all the video platforms. Just got it all pulled up good. Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. Rumble is Clay Edwards Show. The others are just search Save JXN. You can probably type in Clay Edwards Show too in the search bar and find it, but technically speaking, it's Save JXN. And of course, we're on the mothership. If it all went away today, we were on the mothership at 103.9 FM WYAB. None of this would be possible without that big antenna pumping across those airwaves there. From our little, as Mike Madison calls it, our First Amendment outpost here in Florida, Mississippi. Shaun, you've been doing this long enough, man. You're well over a year, pushing a year and a half or ish into this.
Yeah, I guess it's like when I started, like March of 23.
I think so.
Yeah,
about crawfish season of 23.
Yeah, that's right. So we're gonna be on 2 years, I guess, after the thing.
Yeah, gosh dang, that's crazy. But so been doing this for a while. I mean, you've dealt with enough censorship and stuff, and you've seen enough censorship online.
Yeah.
The ability, and you're understanding radio and corporate radio versus independent media, and
it's really neat to learn. That's actually kind of interesting how this all works.
It is, and the ability we have here that Matt gives us, he does not censor us. We never have had a meeting here that says this is the message. Make sure y'all, make sure y'all execute the message.
By the content of some of the other shows, we know that there's never been a meeting, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like we're all quasi like-minded. I mean, even on the stuff we disagree on things, but I would bet you across the board, from my show to Bishop's to Kim Wade to Jameson to Chip to anybody else, and that if I'm forgetting you, I apologize. But Chris Davis, his is a music show. We probably agree 75% of the time on most stuff, but the 25 can be a big difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, with all that said, didn't mean to jump down a bit of a rabbit hole there. I want to say good morning to a few people that are watching online real quick. We're already over 100 viewers real quick, so it just seems like it's going to be a big episode this morning. Jason, good morning. Brent, Mary Lynn, Garrison, Steve, and I've got a fella on the from Terry, Mississippi on YouTube, SKM45MS. Good morning to everybody there. I'm going to start coming up with a little contest here. My friend girl, my girlfriend of sorts, gave me an idea about trying to figure out ways to grow the online audience and get you guys to share this stuff. And I know I ask you every day to hit the share button, and I guess we need to figure out a way to incentivize you all to do that. So I'm thinking here Friday, maybe we'll start giving away a FAFO shirt every day to one lucky person that shares it, and try to motivate you guys just a little bit, or reward you guys, or maybe some stickers. I don't know. Maybe a shirt's a bit much. Those are kind of expensive, but I do appreciate all of that. So we'll figure it out. So, hey, speaking of the stickers, I got a fresh 1,000 pack of stickers in the FAFO logo. They are it's $5 for 2 stickers. It's a little donation. I mean, I'll go put them out some places. You can get them for free. But if you want to help the cause here a little bit, help support what we do, if you will if you want to Cash App or Venmo me $5, I'll throw 2 or 3 stickers in there. It really don't matter. It's more just about $5. Maybe we'll do 4 stickers for you. Say you heard it on the radio. Anyhow, Venmo me, Cash App me, and your address, and I will provide the stamp in the envelope. Shoot you some stickers. Anyway, just kind of shoot from the hip there. Didn't plan on saying that. Shaun, let's jump in, man.
Sure.
Let me pull my notes up here. I really don't need notes for this. I could just about
you could freestyle it.
I could freestyle this one. We are. If y'all saw the thumbnail that I created online for this episode, we're starting with Stokes. We don't talk about Stokes a whole lot on this show unless it's relevant. Like Stokes has not been a punching bag on this show.
No.
I don't think I've ever really said anything bad about him. I mean, I never let him forget throw rocks and bottles at cop stuff, but he's had a bit of a hero arc.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we want to talk about comic book characters or wrestlers, he's made a face turn over the years. And I don't think he's changed. I think it has more so with so much crazy and so many bad people are around him that a little bit of common sense. Now, look, I want to say this. I hear Stokes behind the scenes. He's playing a character.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody that tells me that knows Stokes, he's really a cool guy, very intelligent dude, and kind of what you see on TV. I'm not saying he's fake, but he's kind of turning the volume up a little bit.
Yeah, I think we see that with politicians. Andy Gibson may be a good example.
You see it with radio hosts.
Yeah, radio hosts. I mean, it's a common thing to do. I've met him many times, and he's a lot different. I think one thing about him that I've always noticed that you may hate the rhetoric, and I did too. All of us. Heck, he called me a slave master on the radio about 8 years ago. Me and a friend of mine. So it's never. I wasn't really happy about that, but. I think he generally.
Your house does have slave quarters.
It does. It's got a servant's quarters in the hat. That's what it says. That is kind of messed up, right? Yeah.
Didn't mean to roll you under the bus.
No, for anybody who doesn't know, I found an ad for my house. My house was built in 1929. For 1945, somebody was selling it. I ran across it in the Clarion and Ledger archives. You can go to newspapers.com and search things. Pretty cool. Anyway, and it says that, complete with servants' quarters out back. So I found it's gone. The structure's gone now, but I found the brick path and the plumbing line to it, So anyway, but he did say that, but I think I think he generally cares about Jackson. I've never heard anything about Stokes being on the take. Like no one's ever told me that. Being involved in Hinds County politics as long as I have been, I just never heard him anything like that. He just I think he just likes to be the man about his community. Whether you agreed, most of us didn't agree with his pastor. He hasn't said anything like that in years, though. The crazy stuff he used to say.
He hasn't, but he has turned his cannons straight at Chokwe and Aaron Banks and whomever else without saying their names.
Yeah,
allegedly, of course. So I'm pulling. Y'all bear with me. I'm pulling my notes up here. It takes this program a second to load. It's a lot of stuff in it. I guess it would have been quicker just to go on WLBT.com at this point. I don't know why Evernote takes forever to load. Dun-dun-dun. All right, here we go. Of course, there's no video to this. I don't guess it really matters, but I just want to make sure I get the quote 100% right. By the way, we do have an unofficial election result for Angelique's seat over in Ward 2. It appears that as of right now, unofficially, Tina Clay, has won Angelique's seat. That's relevant to the story, of course, because where did it literally just had his big head right there, and now it's just gone away. I don't understand WLBT's site sometimes.
Yeah, it's really not a good site. I mean, they do great content, but the site functionality is very bad.
Lost all my notes, and y'all bear with me. Here we go. I apologize. Finally got the dang link pulled up. Thank you, WLBT. No, I'm kidding. Shout out to those guys. They do a great job over there. So Stokes come out last night or yesterday and says, resign and accept the plea if you're guilty. And let me kind of this ain't long at all. It says Jackson councilman is calling out anyone involved in the recent bribery scandal to step down and take the plea deal. Last week, a second bill of information came down saying at least 2 elected city officials are involved in the scheme, both of whom took bribes in exchange for their support of a proposed convention center hotel. So far, 2 people have pled guilty in the case, Hinds County businessman Sharik Marvey Smith and former Ward 2 councilman and current convicted felon Angelique Lee. She found out nobody's above the law, Shaun. She found out nobody's above the law, even a pretty black Democrat in Jackson, Mississippi. I can't take that away from her. She was an attractive lady.
Yeah.
Stokes stood in front of a wall containing portraits. This is great right here, dude.
Yeah.
Stokes, this is not an accident. Stokes stood in front of a wall containing portraits of each of the city's elected leaders. The frame that holds the Ward 2 council member's photo now empty following Lee's resignation.
And you know,
salt.
If you're a portrait maker and you'd like to advertise on the show, because there's going to be some openings here shortly that you're going to be able to get some business.
There's going to be another city councilman's portrait's going to be empty, and the mayor's portrait is going to be empty. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Let's see here.
Oh, and also the guy that like renames the air. You know, there's like puts like his name on the airport when you go over there. Like whoever does those letters, like that guy, can make some money.
You know, it's so disrespectful to have Chokwe's name in where Jazz should be Jake Wyndham's name over on that airport.
Is that in Pearl, really?
It's in Pearl.
Okay, I was at Flowood, but...
It's Pearl. Wrapping this little story up here just so we're all caught up. Lee, who was in her first full term, resigned from the council in August, only hours before entering a plea deal in her involvement in the scheme in the U.S. District Court. She faces up to 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine, 3 years of supervised... and 3 years of supervised release on a charge of conspiracy to commit bribery. She also must return nearly $20,000 in cash and gifts she received for agreeing to vote. Shaun, I bet she ain't got that money.
No, I mean, she couldn't pay the printing business.
What I've learned about people with bad credit and that don't pay their bills, being of that ilk at one point in my life, is that when you get money, you don't put it back for a rainy day. You go spend it as if it's going to kill you if you keep it.
Yeah. The money is bad. It must be burned. That's what I always say about women. You know, the way they are with money. It's like, the money is bad. It's got to be burned.
Yep, and it goes quick. So, look, I just wanted to catch y'all up on that real quick. This is all tied into the Convention Center Hotel. Shaun, did you see my viral post yesterday about the In-N-Out Burger taking over?
I did see that.
So, I'm not surprised that people believed it. I'm just disappointed so many people believed it.
I really didn't know how anybody could possibly believe that. But
first off, it was a photo I stole from the Las Vegas Strip. I thought the desert in the background and the casino would have been the
giveaway. The
giveaway that was in fact not Jackson.
I mean, and why would anybody build a giant In-N-Out burger?
The world's largest.
The world's
We were going to convert the convention center to an In-N-Out, but
people actually believe that.
Well, especially on Instagram.
Man, I need to start selling some stuff then. If there's these kind of folks out there,
I had AI rewrite. I had AI rewrite the description for me to make it look like an official press release. And I even said the developer was Save Jackson LLC.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, are you taking edibles today or something? Where's this coming from?
I don't know. I was sitting at a red light, got bored.
I was like, what's this?
I was at a very long red light somewhere yesterday and got bored.
Yeah.
But anyway, with all that said, the Convention Center Hotel, the city has put a moratorium of sorts.
I saw that
On the
made me laugh.
Like in other Captain Obvious news of the day, they're in fact not going to build a convention center hotel there where they said they were going to put that convention center. The convention center hotel.
They did a big announcement. We're not taking any more bids for the corrupt hotel project. I mean, it's like who's going to get into that now? Like I'd be like shaking if I proposed it. Like is the FBI around here?
Like what developers thinking to themselves? You know, now's the time.
Now's the time to strike.
I mean, you know, man, it would be one thing, and we're going to dive deep into this. It would be one thing if downtown was just a hotel away.
Yeah.
From this all being a big success and Jackson being saved. But to me that feels more like the last thing. That's the cherry on top of the whipped cream on top of the sundae.
Yeah.
That is not, we are not anything away.
No.
From unlocking Jackson's potential. Now we are one mayor away from being able to start that process.
Yeah.
But other than that, well, look, let's do this. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we got you caught up. You know what we're going to be talking about today, at least this first hour. We're going knee deep in all the unfolding, all the stuff that's come out. Because there was a story that came out Friday with a lot of details about this Chokwe stuff that slid under the radar because it was Friday. I don't think WLBT did a good job with their headline on it. And I think it kind of snuck under a lot of people's attention.
Oh, it's damning, too. I mean, it is damning.
It is the most damning evidence that I've seen yet.
Yeah, I mean,
that just takes it right back to Chokwe's front door.
I mean, shout out to Anthony Warren and CJ because this is good.
Job.
This is good reporting they did right here. So.
They may want to consider repackaging that article with a different headline and another thumbnail picture. But we're going to get to that and more. Joe Rogan and Trump confirmed this Friday
What
bombs
time is
over
that
Baghdad. I think it drops in the morning. So,
Okay.
so I'm not sure exactly what time it drops, but it'll be sometime by the time we get off the show.
Okay, cool.
And so we're going to talk about that and more. We got Shaun Yurtkuran here in the studio. We're on 103.9 FM WYAB. We're streaming worldwide. Real quick, guys, circle the calendar, circle the date right now. Next Friday, I'm going to be broadcasting live at Brandon, 042 Wine and Spirits. This is an awesome event. Mm-hmm. They have got their own private barrel release from Four Roses.
Oh, I love Four Roses.
So we're going to be out there broadcasting live. That's Friday, November 1st. The official times, this thing has been aged for 9 years and 2 months. It's 122.3 proof. Mm. It's low rye, rich fruits. Anyway, it's from 4:30 to 6:30. I'm probably going to get out there about 3:30 and get set up and start interviewing folks. But 4:30 to 6:30, come and get an extremely limited edition private barrel bottle of Four Roses that was specifically for 042 Wine and Spirits. It's right there on Highway 80 in Crossgates, or right in front of Crossgates next to Sonny's Barbecue. We'll be right back, and we'll be telling you all about that and more as we go along today. Stay tuned on the internet. We're not taking a break. We're going to chat with y'all during the break. Radio folks, we will be right back. Rip the knob off of the radio. All right, that was a little clunky getting out of there, but it'd be like that sometimes. Brent asked, did they tell you the price of the bottle? No, Brent, they have not, but I will find all of that out for you guys. So, yeah, y'all be sure, y'all circle the date for that. That's going to be a big deal. I'm really, really excited to get to be a part of that. That is why I started doing these live remotes, was to get to do stuff like that. Let's see here. Who's there? Oh, was that?
Oh, no, it's here.
That was, what's his name?
Oh, Matthews.
Yeah. Steve says he loves the Four Roses.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
Let's see here. Wendell Blunt on YouTube says there's a connection between the timing of indictments of New York Mayor Eric Adams and now Chokwe. I can't argue with you. It's not politically advantageous. Part of me, if you're going to really peel this onion back, Shaun, could say, because the Biden and you would know this better than I would, but the Biden and Kamala camps have kind of been fighting
warring
some.
a little bit.
I've even heard that there was a physical altercation at one point between a couple staffers.
Yeah, that's true. There has been. There's been serious problems. Obviously it started because, the Biden got pushed out, right? Yeah. That's why there's people that are pissed about that.
Well, I guess my point, without jumping too far down that rabbit hole, we can save that for the radio and do a whole segment if you want to, but could Biden's DOJ going after very popular black politicians in an election season be a way to get at Kamala, maybe hurt votes? I don't know that it would.
I don't know that it
would.
It
definitely ain't good.
It's not the best thing politically, obviously, for her campaign. I agree with that. But also, these investigations have been going on for several years, right? And I think, before all this. So, Eric Adams, I know they've been investigating for a long time on that stuff. And this, we know that they have been investigating Chokwe Lumumba for God knows how long. That's been going on for years. And I think this, interesting enough, with the Jody Owens connection, I think that just kind of transpired this year where, and I've got some backstory information on that a lot. That's pretty interesting. But I think that, how these real estate developers met him, and how they showed up here, and then maybe saved it for the radio, interesting to people about that. But so that's been going on for a while. So I don't know if it was like some plot to get out. Now maybe the timing of it they did, and they got let's hit, because you got to remember they went after LaToya Cantrell too and her associate.
As they should.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I've been keeping up with a good bit of her shenanigans for a while. The state auditor in Louisiana needs to be going after her as well.
Yeah, she needs to get it, obviously, and I just but it is interesting that there's these majority black cities with the politicians that have black politicians that have gotten into this, embroiled into certain corruption. But chickens are maybe just coming home to roost. It could just be as simple as that.
Yeah, it just seems like it would just be more politically advantageous to wait till after the election. But
I would think,
who knows what happens after the election with the DOJ and.
Well, Trump's not going to back off these things if he gets elected. I don't think he would any reason for him to do that at all. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to either, though. I don't think even if she were to be elected. I think this is, some. I mean, this ball's got rolling too far with this kind of stuff, and so. But it is interesting. I can see how people can feel that way because there's definitely been friction between both camps, Biden and Harris camps.
All right, we're getting ready to come back, guys. It's going to be about 30 seconds of silence here, so it doesn't roll over on top of the. They don't roll over on top of the ad. I'm sorry, the intro music. Y'all got any questions? Drop them in the comments. Mary, yes, I do have shirts. That's why I pulled this one on. I got all shirts are available. Buyfafo.com.
This Saturday night, Shuckers on the Riz. Come out, join us for the annual Halloween party. Saturday, October 26th, Shuckers on the Riz is going to be giving out $2,000 in cash prizes for all the big winners. Got to be signed up and ready to go no later than 10 p.m. And you must be present in-house at midnight to win. Cash prizes given out for best costume, sexiest costume, and funniest costumes. The Spunk Monkeys and all the big stars are going to be live on stage with only a $15 cover charge for the biggest Halloween party in town. Don't forget, this Saturday, Shuckers on the Riz.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB with Shaun Yurtkuran in the studio. This Saturday night, you just heard the commercial there, but I'm going to beat it upside your head. If you're looking for somewhere to go, something to do for Halloween, Shuckers on the Riz. It's going to be the annual big old shindig there. It's going to be only $15 to get in, and I don't know if y'all have gone out to a club lately. Normally the regular cover charge is at minimum about $10, but this is Halloween. Shuckers does everything big. They got Spunk Monkeys, who are phenomenal. Those guys played Crazy 8 back in like 01 or 02, and I had that place, and they are still out there rocking, just getting better and better and better. You like good rock and roll, 80s, 90s rock cover stuff, you'll love the Spunk Monkeys. They're going to be inside on I call it the big stage, but the inside stage. You got the All-Stars out on the patio. They're going to be doing it up big on the deck. And it's only a $15 cover. And here's the thing. You like dressing up for Halloween? $2,000 in cash money going to be given out for the best costume or scariest costume, funniest costume, and sexiest costume. It'll be divvied up across there. You didn't get $2,000 each, but three different costumes will get the top prizes. You got to be in the building and signed up by 10 p.m., and you've got to be in the building and present to win at midnight if you're going to enter the costume contest. But go ahead and mark your calendars now. This Saturday, Shuckers on the Riz for the biggest Halloween party in the city. I do believe I will be present for this. I do believe I will be present. So going to be a good time. I'm going to be dressed up as a half-ass radio host, so I won't be hard to find. I'm going as myself.
You have to go, right?
Going as myself.
You should actually like overgo it yourself. Like, get a FAO sticker, stick it to your head, like some pants.
Tattoo.
Yeah, the tattoo, right? Anything.
Get a painted on tattoo. All right, let's jump back into it. Y'all mark the calendars. Shuckers on the Riz this Saturday night. We got a question here on topic from Wendell on YouTube. Says, question, did Stokes give the name of city and county board officials who were facing indictments?
He did last weekend.
He did last weekend?
He did, yeah. It was actually Saturday morning before we did the college sports show. I was watching the news, and he said, I'm going to tell y'all who unindicted co-conspirator B and C are. It's Banks and the mayor. He told Ross Adams that.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I mean, we know who it is.
We know who it is, yeah.
I mean, you could weasel your way out of throwing Banks' name out there if you wanted to, because you could say, well, it could be any of the others, even though they say they denied, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he said nothing so far.
Yeah, Grizel's come out. I don't think it's Grizel, obviously.
Did he say something? I have not heard him.
He said something the other day, but I mean, I think it was about the convention center hotel not moving forward. I read something or saw something with him, but
gotcha.
The main thing is it's the mayor. It can only be the mayor.
Yeah, I mean, he even kind of basically said it. He was in that press conference he gave the other day where he said, I've not conspired to bribe with anybody. I think what he's trying to set up is saying, what I did was receive a campaign contribution from these supposed real estate developers that were actually FBI informants or agents or whatever. I think that's what he said. That's what he's been setting up all summer, because we've all heard it from back channels that he was saying he's been pumping this narrative of it's a campaign contribution. That's how stupid he is, too, to think that a jury in federal court is going to believe that. I think it's insane. But if he wants to play that and believe that, I think that's cute. I think it's really cute. If I was prosecuting, I'd love this. By the way, the arguments that are coming from these guys, and just to break the article down that we were talking about, that Anthony Warren and C.J. LeMaster did Friday. You sent this to me too, and I remember you sent the text. You like, read this now, and it's pretty great. I mean, what it says is that according to the recording, there was a recording of the plea hearing in federal court last Thursday, and Marve Smith, an unnamed co-conspirator identified as co-conspirator A, which is most likely Jody Owens, right, the district attorney, were set to receive $100,000 to help facilitate meetings between two out-of-state developers and city officials in the hopes of bribing those officials for their support. The out-of-state developers are identified as Individual 1 and Individual 2, were FBI sources posing as real estate developers from Nashville. Then, so what happened was Marve Smith and co-conspirator A, Jody Owens, most likely, lined up a bunch of meetings. One of them was with Angelique Lee in that dinner that now has become infamous around town, where she received, I think, $3,000 in cash and a credit card to go to Maison Weiss on a shopping spree. Then there was another co-conspirator B is listed as having this is supposedly Aaron Banks, most likely, we believe that to be, according to Kenneth Stokes, right, requested $50,000 from the developers in exchange from his support. After he left the meeting, co-conspirator A, most likely again Jody Owens, was identified as saying, well, this is according to Marve Smith, who pled guilty. By the way, Marve Smith is agreeing to all these things that they happened. So this is not just allegations.
Yeah, he's agreed
that this
pled guilty.
Yeah, he pled guilty, and this is what he is saying has happened. Now, he's not saying who co-conspirator A or B or C is, but we've all pretty much come to the conclusion who they are. You got to pull out the Oreos, right? Gotcha. Just like, damn you, those look good. So what co-conspirator A, believed to be Jody Owens, said, why don't we kind of have him on a leash and own him for the next 6 months, talking about banks, and pay him in $10,000 increments instead of giving him the $50,000 up front. So I guess so it's saying is Owens was suggesting that they own, in quotes, own him over the next 6 months. And that means, I guess they were trying to say that banks would do whatever they wanted if they trickled out the payments.
I believe that quote right there, as of right now, is the most damning evidence that we have. We also found out in this article that the security services for banks, allegedly, of course, assuming it's banks, is for a driver.
Yeah, right.
It's for a driver because he got that DUI.
And yes, that's correct. And then the other thing too, Clay, and it's in here, is that it was a bribe for the co-conspirator A, being the district attorney, would get employment for one of Banks' relatives, which he did. There's a relative of Banks working in the district attorney's office, is what I've been told.
Jody Owens, according to all this, he's the mastermind of this whole thing.
According to what CJ and Anthony wrote here, that's the way. I did not realize that before reading this, but it seems that way to me. And I'll tell you one thing, what you just said, the own him for the next 6 months, how that's going to play, that would be my closing argument if I was prosecuting and this goes to trial. Like, he's going to own him for 6 months. That's bad. That looks very bad. And I think, just one conclusion what that was. Now, so then, obviously, then it goes on to say about our favorite mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, that he received a $10,000 contribution, a campaign contribution, which I think did go to his campaign account, but where he was going to extend the bid deadline.
And I don't understand the upside to extending the bid deadline.
I don't either. I don't know it. I know Kingfish probably knows this really much better than we do, but I don't know exactly how that were they late on the bid. Those things I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how that worked. So
them saying, I want you to repeat. So Jody Owens tells one of the feds, the undercover fed,
and Marve Smith, his business partner,
and Marve Smith, concerning Aaron Banks, we believe, that they were going to pay him $50,000. Right,
because Banks had requested allegedly it's Banks. Right, again, I guess we got to make that clear. We believe it to be Banks. Don't know that, but whoever was co-conspirator B requested $50,000.
And they said instead of giving it all to him one time, spread it out over 5 or 6 months, and they could own his ass for
exactly every
every vote they needed for the next 5 or 6. I mean, complete corruption.
As corrupt as it gets.
As corrupt as it gets. I mean, 'cause who knows what else they would have done. Because if you're just doing it for one vote, why spread it out? What else was planned?
Yeah, well, or what else? Maybe just they may have needed him for other stuff.
Yeah.
it's, that, I mean, it just, so that tells you that a co-conspirator, A, knew exactly what they were doing. And again, this is according to Marve Smith, the business partner of the district attorney, that this is what, if the district attorney is co-conspirator A, where like we believe to be, he's saying these are the things that he said. And he's, swore to this under oath, pled guilty, worked and, is cooperating, I'm assuming he's cooperating with the federal government, or he wouldn't have, got whatever deal he's going to get, and saying that these things happened. Now, the way those relate to what Jody Owens and Marve Smith did in relation to Aaron Banks. Now we're talking about if you go move it to Chokwe, he did receive a $10,000 campaign to shorten, I'm reading here, the RFQ deadline, request for quotes. And he said that the following day the money was delivered, co-conspirator C directed a City of Jackson employee to shorten that deadline. So what that is a quid pro quo, what it's called basically in Latin.
What does that mean? I hear that phrase thrown around a lot, and I know it's illegal, but what is quid pro quo?
In exchange to do something, like I give you money and you do something, for me. So I'm giving, it's an exchange, essentially. Okay. It's an exchange, a quid pro quo. And that's what he did. And it's, obviously in a political or governmental context, taking money to do an official action is illegal. It's a bribe, and you've been bribed to do something like that. And, generally they call that in federal courts, a lot of it's honest services fraud, but that's one of the crimes. So that's what he can't do that. He can't take money to go do an official act. He can't do that. Now he can, and then this gets kind of cloudy because we're talking about campaign contributions, and everybody knows, you don't donate to somebody's campaign because you don't want them to do something. You obviously want them to do something favorable, and that's perfectly legal, right? If you're saying, let's say, I give money to Fred Shank's campaign because we're friends, right? And I just hope that he votes the way I want him to vote, but I'm not making an explicit exchange with him. Yeah. I'm not saying, hey, Fred, here's $10,000. Sorry to use your name, Fred, but just the first person that came to mind. Here's $10,000. I need you to do X. Yeah. Now that you cannot do. But we can donate to friends, people we like, campaigns. Everybody does that all the time, and that's completely legal.
Wink, wink, and a nod, but you can't explicitly say it.
Right, you can't say like, here's $10,000. You need to go do this. Which seems to me, by reading this, that's exactly what happened. All
right, let's take a break. We got Shaun Yurtkuran here in the studio on a hump day. We're breaking this down. I see some salty comments in the live stream. I'm going to address those during the break. We will be right back here live on WYAB. Don't forget the Guns of Gear text line, 769-241-1944. If you guys want to call in this morning, want to discuss any of this, the Mazda of Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. All right, I want to go back to Fred Chambliss. He's always trying to talk about this stuff here. Fred says, I'm all for exposing corruption. This is just nauseating to me. This what about Brett Favre shit? When Brett Favre gets indicted, let me finish it. I'm all for exposing corruption, but my question is, why don't y'all go this hard against the welfare bandits who conspired to steal $190 million, Tate Reeves, Phil Bryant, and Brett Favre?
Can we walk and chew gum at the same time, by the way? I think we could do that.
I'm telling you, it's comical to me. When we have, I don't find the Tamp stuff the least bit interesting. The people who conspired and did all that got arrested.
Yeah.
I mean, you want the powerful white guys in jail. I mean, just black folks, just say the quiet part out loud.
But they're getting powerful white. I mean, Nancy New's already been indicted, pled guilty. John Davis has done that. And let's just pretend that Brett, Phil, and Tate's not involved in this. No way, no how. Tate is not involved in any way, form, or fashion in this Tamp stuff. I know y'all want him to be. You want Brett to be. You want Phil to be because they're rich, powerful white guys. And they're just not. I mean, and you can blame whoever. They're not going to get indicted. It ain't happening. And that's, by the way, Clay, it's the federal government, right? We're talking about the feds and not the state anymore. The state, and we've had several shows on this.
Yeah, we had Shad White here in the studio discussing this.
And the state was Jody Owens indicting certain state officials, right? Or state, people like John Davis and Nancy New. Anyway, then the ball got passed to the federal government, who's indicted them as well. They pled guilty. Yep. Now there's the Dr. Van Lanningham got pled guilty on the coast, who's part of the Prevacus scandal. That could possibly lead to Brett Favre. So this is now the Biden DOJ's issue in my mind. Yep. And we know they're not going to care about like prosecuting rich white people. They probably love that, like that helps a lot of their narrative. So like, I don't think that's going to be an issue there at all.
Well, this is the stuff that pisses me off because we do talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want us to say. There's no, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Mm-hmm. I just don't find it nearly as interesting. It just isn't.
I think if Fred, not Fred, sorry, Fred. I think if Brett Favre I hope they get him. I really do.
Yeah, I mean if he did
something, get him.
I'm not over here beating the drum for Brett Favre.
I mean, they've got a bunch of people in this whole thing, and Shad White. I mean, to his credit, did a great job, and the federal government's done a great job with it. And I don't know what they're not gonna just let him go because he's Brett Favre. Trust me. The Biden DOJ would love that pelt. I mean, they're going to be like, we just got this white conservative dude that's this football hero. Oh, you're going to eat that up. And you don't think the Biden DOJ could indict a former Republican governor of Mississippi? They would.
Love to.
They would totally do it. I mean, that's just, so.
But look, this is the same guy. I had Fred on the show one time. This is the same guy that believes the Very Fine People hoax.
The what?
The Very Fine People hoax.
Oh, what's that? That one about
Trump
the
thing,
Charlottesville? Okay.
I mean, he also thought that Kyle Rittenhouse killed black guys.
Oh,
I mean, he just believes whatever the media tells him. I had to fact check him here.
Wasn't in Kenosha, Wisconsin?
Yeah.
And there are like 2 black people that live there.
Yeah.
There's not really many black people in Kenosha.
He killed a pedophile and another woman abuser.
Yeah, the pedophile the pedophile hit him with the skateboard, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm just like, man. I mean, I was like, do you support pedophiles? He's like, oh no. I was like, I didn't know that.
I always thought the guy with the skateboard just effed around and found down. That's the way I always looked at that.
He did.
And it's one of I think he's one of those community improvement killings that I always talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so what? The pedophile got killed. Does anybody really care about that? I don't.
Yeah.
I know. I lack a lot of empathy.
And I like Fred, by the way, but I just don't like this low information nonsense.
But also, look, regardless of what anybody thinks about the welfare scandal, again, we can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Like, we can go, they can go after them. This is completely separate. This, I mean, and I'll tell you what, I'll say this is worse in my mind because this is Operation City.
Hold on. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, live here on WYAB. This segment brought to you by Acme Pizza and Daiquiris. Get out to Acme Pizza and Daiquiris tonight. They open Wednesday through Monday. They're closed on Tuesdays, however you want to word that up. Every day but Tuesday, 4 p.m. to midnight, Fannin Mart, right in front of Fannin Lanes there on the Reservoir. 12 different specialty pizzas, 9 different frozen daiquiris, full bar. They got it all. They got live entertainment on Friday and Saturday nights. No cover charge, of course. It's family friendly, and it can be a little adulty in there as it gets later. Nice dark atmosphere. I love that. But at the end of the day, all that aside, it's some of the best pizza you'll ever eat. All dough is made fresh daily. All the toppings are fresh, never frozen. They have the pig, which is my personal favorite. I know y'all have heard me talk about it ad nauseum, but it's fresh smoked pork. They smoke the pork there on a smoker on site. It's not brought in from somewhere else. It's not frozen from a food service. This is legitimate fresh smoked pork. They put the bacon on from raw, so it cooks fresh. It's not burned and crispy by the end of it. The fat drips down into the cheese. Oh, man, it's oh so good. Then they have the ham on it as well, all cooked from fresh, not frozen. Try the I know if you got kids or maybe you and your girlfriend or significant other, your boyfriend, husband, whatever, have different tastes in pizzas. You don't have to just get half the pizza one way, half of it the other. You can try the Wheel of Flavor. They'll do 3 different designs or 3 different style pizzas on one pie. So you can try any of the specialty pizzas. You can do just cheese if you got somebody that doesn't like toppings, or you can do just ham or just pepperoni or pig, and or Hawaiian or however you want to chop it up. Maybe you just want to try a few different things. The Wheel of Flavor is the way to go. Don't forget the Dynamite Balls, one of the best appetizers in town that you probably never heard of. It's pulled pork wrapped around cream cheese, deep fried, and then drizzled with some barbecue sauce, and they got some kind of dip you dip it in. Really, really good. Burgers, pasta, and more. Acme Pizza and Daiquiris available for carry-out, delivery, and, of course, dine-in. Monday through Friday, 4 to midnight. All right. circling back,
Yeah.
let's see here. We've been kind of easy on the Guns and Gear text line lately, so let's hit the Guns and Gear text line real quick. Jake says, don't know which Jake this is, but Jake says, one would have to think these schemes have been happening all along, and the FBI got wind of it and decided to set up this sting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard back channeled on how that did occur.
Yeah,
that's kind of what happened, where these developers end up hanging out at the cigar bar and over the course of months, and kind of just work the room sort of thing. Like you see in the movies, kind of became friends with people that work there, and it kind of led to a business relationship with the district attorney.
Yep.
So
let's see. Unknown texter. Do you think Benny Thompson will intervene with these cases against Chokwe and Owens behind closed doors? Everything I've ever been told is Benny does not like Chokwe.
Yeah, I mean, and people, I see a lot of my Facebook threads, people will say that Benny, and I've dealt in black politics for a long time, right? And going back to the Robert Smith days, and what I've learned about Benny Thompson is like he either loves you or he doesn't, and it's not like just because you're a black politician, Benny Thompson likes you. That's not true at all. There is a war for Benny's love. You know what I mean? Like kiss the ring kind of thing. And I've seen that actually up front, where one time I went to it was during the last Supreme Court race, and Jim Kitchens was there at this event in Yazoo City, and so was this Ceola James, and I think it was Latrice Westbrooks, who I know, and I think Ceola was the incumbent, and Benny was supporting Latrice and just kind of turned away from her, at the event, and just kind of ignored her. You could see the whole room was like, oh wow, that was kind of rude, So basically, what I'm saying, he picks who he likes, and and I've heard that the same thing you have, that there is no love lost between those two at all.
Yeah,
because they're all jockeying for the throne, Like anybody who becomes mayor of Jackson's like, I'm going to have Benny's seat. There's a lot of black politicians that want.
I've heard David Archie say it. I've heard every black politician here thinks they're the next one up for Benny's seat.
Yeah, because he's he's about 74, 75.
Benny gonna die in that seat.
Yeah, he ain't giving that up.
And I wouldn't either. Just for the record.
Yeah, why? You can hang out for as long as you want. I mean, everybody else in Congress does. It's what's cool to do. Yeah. So, I mean, but if you're a young up and coming black politician in anywhere in that district, you want to be the next Benny, and so there's a lot of power plays that go with that. And Chokwe obviously was probably trying to jockey for that. Now that will never happen, thank God. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So no, I don't think the two of them like each other at all.
All right, James on the Guns and Gear text line. How do you think they're gonna catch wannabe Drake? I think that's what they've called him. I mean, that's what we've been discussing. Yeah, I mean they've called him. It's just a matter of when do they hit him with the indictment.
Yeah, I think it's whatchamacallit. I mean that's what we're waiting on, right? When the indictment comes out. I don't think it's a question of if, it's when at this point. He's obviously going to I think he's obviously going to be indicted, or the feds think they have enough, and that's why they flipped this Marve Smith. I mean, I think what you're going to see is the district attorney, Aaron Banks, and Chokwe be indicted shortly. Now they're going to have decisions to make at that point. Do they go to trial, or do they accept guilty pleas? Or do they work with the government? And that was based upon, I'll tell you what, I've had this conversation with you and many others, based upon this article. Of course, we don't know everything, but if I'm on a jury and I hear that, you're getting convicted in less than 30 minutes. There was no, I was entrapped or any of that kind of stuff that's going to make sense to me. And I can be I'll listen to arguments. I don't necessarily, this may be a good discussion. I don't necessarily like the feds setting up a crime. You know what I mean? I don't like, there's plenty of real crime going on, but I think that's very different than, when you're directing the bribes, you're not being entrapped anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want them I don't think you should be entrapped, but, and of course that never really works anyway, but I don't think they should just try to encourage you to do a crime. But here it seems like whoever co-conspirator A is took the ball and ran with this, and tried to direct all this kind of stuff. So
very comfortable. I mean, what I read in this article, it was so blatant, and he was so comfortable in this. Shaun, I have to believe that there's been shenanigans, for lack of a better word, going on for quite a while. This is not their first rodeo doing this.
Yeah.
That's why Chokwe allegedly had it piped to his election, re-election campaign. And another little thing came out in that press conference the other day, and I got it right here. We ain't going to have time to play it this segment, but Chokwe has not filed his campaign finance reports for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically since the last election.
Right. It was, will be 3.5 years.
What all is in there? How many other donations are in there?
Or what's not going to be put in there?
Yeah.
You know, now it obviously seems like should have been some record of this. And I'm assuming he deposited in his campaign account, because that's kind of what the article's saying, right? That this went to be a campaign contribution.
And it came from Jody, right? Or from Marvay?
I think it's from Marvay. I think that's right. I think it's
because they asked him if he knew Marvay in this press conference the other day, and he was like, "Well, we've met once or twice." So just a guy you've casually met once or twice makes a $10,000 donation to your account.
It says April 1st, Marvay Smith, and co-conspirator A, which we're assuming is Jody Owens, and developers agreed to reimburse, in quotes, co-conspirator C, the mayor, for taking official action to shorten the RFQ deadline, and wrote the co-conspirator a check for $10,000. So I don't know whether it was Smith, Owens, or the developers directly that wrote Chokwe that check. I guess we'll be able to find out once that comes out. But it's that they all three agreed to do it. This is what, according to Mr. Smith during his plea hearing.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back with Shaun Yurtkuran here to land the plane for hour one. Coming up in hour two, man, we got a lot of different directions we can go. I don't want to beat this dead horse the whole show, but Bridget Todd.
Yeah.
We got some Carly Gregg, Bridget Todd stuff. I've gotten a couple texts about that. People want to know how they missed that segment. So I guess we'll hit that.
Oh, yeah, I got some good stuff for that, man. That got wild last night, too.
Did it?
That got wild. I think you might have been. Oh, and I texted you. You were going to sleep or something. But
we'll save it, and we'll get to that in hour two. We'll be right back to land the plane. Hour one. People online, don't go anywhere. We're going to chat with y'all during the break. People on the radio. We'll be right back. If you guys are looking for something to eat today, don't forget Martin's downtown, and of course Livingston. I went out to Livingston yesterday and had the smoked ribs for the Tuesday lunch. First time I've had the ribs. I don't know what I was expecting, but oh my, they were fabulous. Of course, they're only available on Tuesdays, but get out there today and try whatever the Blue Plate special is at either location. And don't forget, coming up Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday football, don't sell Martin short as being one of the best sports bars in Central Mississippi, downtown, and of course, Livingston. Get out there today. Enjoy it all. Martin's. Check the websites and the Facebooks for all the upcoming live music at the concert venue downtown. Martin's downtown, jxn.com. We'll be right back. Ran over there.
Huh?
Ran over a little bit there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. We got a lot of folks in the chat, guys. We're going to get to all your chats too, so y'all bear with us a minute. FTWNIL on YouTube says actual bars and businesses have relocated to disassociate themselves from the case. Are we talking about the cigar bars and places like that? Refresh my memory here. FTW on YouTube. What bars and businesses have relocated to disassociate themselves from the case? I know there's 4th Avenue down there and all that stuff. Is that what we're talking about? Let's see here. Angela says, with entrapments, just say no and keep saying no. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you don't have to say yeah.
I know. That's what I always say. I agree with Angela there. Like, the entrapment thing is the stupidest. I don't know. Again, that's why it doesn't. You don't see people use it. It doesn't work because most people think the way we're thinking. Like, okay, did you have to go do that? You could have said no. And here it's so obvious that's not going to work though. I mean, I think the jury's going to laugh that defense out of the courtroom.
Yeah,
that's a.
Jason asked, so why do they space the indictments out?
The feds will do that for several reasons. I think what you see is I'll give you this example. Marvay Smith, we don't know when he agreed to cooperate. That could have been after the Angelique. People are always hedging their bets in this. I don't blame them with their lawyers. What's the best deal? So let's say, for instance, you saw Angelique Lee. She agreed to cooperate. They got more information from her. Then they squeeze Marvay Smith. He's giving them more information that the informants did not have.
Because they could discover things that we don't know about.
Absolutely.
Beyond this convention center hotel. Because you kind of start at the bottom of the totem pole and squeeze your way up, so to say, right?
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. They can build a tighter case.
Kind of like pushing the last bit of toothpaste out of a toothpaste container.
That's 100% true. I mean, they could build a better case against the mayor, and that's what I'm sure they want. Because you also got to admit, when you indict a public official, you better win.
Yeah.
Like, you better win if you're the government. That's a big thing to do. So they're going to shore this case because obviously what I hear around town, and you've heard this, and what his public comments in that press conference, he's going to fight this. He ain't going to plead guilty. he's going to be the little opposite little B he is, like that's the way he annex. Because pleading guilty would require accepting responsibility, and this man has shown he's not willing to do that about anything, whether it's the condition of the city or anything else. This guy's a pompous little ass. I mean, and that's what he is. So, but he's about to get his comeuppance, so we'll see.
All right, look, and I see the comments in here about people wanting the governor to apologize for slavery. I'm going to get to that during our top of the hour, during our break at the top of the hour. The 7-minute break, I will definitely address those comments, and I see some of the replies to that as well. That is ridiculous talk. I appreciate you tuning in, but that's silly talk. But it makes for good radio and internet, so we will definitely address it. Let's see here. I'm kind of running these things backwards here a little bit from the bottom down. Will Wendell says the feds stated that over $16 billion was mismanaged, and they are doing an audit across the country on all departments of human services.
Oh, really?
So good.
That's good.
I mean, good. You're not look. You're never going to hear me complain. I don't care if it's white Republicans, if it's black Democrats. If there's corruption and people are stealing, they need to go to jail if they get caught. You're never going to hear me complain about that.
I've also learned. Glad you said that. Like the corruption is bipartisan. It's as old as whorehouses. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not, you don't, just because you're a certain political party doesn't mean you can't be corrupt. All of them do corrupt stuff. It's human nature to do bad things. And so I don't care who it is. I think they need to get, if you do it, they need to get you.
Yep. So I have no problem with that. But obviously I'm a little more passionate about Jackson because that's how all this started. We're coming back.
Yep.
All right, welcome back in. We got about 40 seconds here before our top of the hour break. On the other side of the break here, when we get back, we're going to talk about there's been a big update on with the Carly Gregg mistrial, but potential of a new trial. Some stuff has come out about Bridget Todd, the attorney. We got some updates on all of that. We're going to get to Joe Rogan not Joe Rogan, but Donald Trump appearing on Joe Rogan this Friday. And I want to get Shaun's thoughts about Trump working at McDonald's and more. We'll be right back. Stay tuned with us online. All right, people on the internet, stay tuned real quick. I've got to use the restroom. And when we come back, I want to get into some of these comments during this 7-minute break. Shaun, your mics are hot.
Okay.
All right. I want to circle back to a comment up here. This is a question 2 from Wendell on YouTube. He says, why is nobody on platforms not addressing former Governor Phil Bryant issues the proclamation for racial reconciliation? Where is the apology for slavery? I don't know that I necessarily understand why Phil addressing a proclamation about racial reconciliation. Where's the apology for slavery? Nobody should be apologizing for slavery. Period. Nobody alive today had anything to do with slavery. I don't anticipate or expect, and I'll be insulted if any of our current politicians apologize for slavery. I
had slaves was like Spain, but they had. There's actually a good movie about it. You might have seen Amistad. You ever watch that? Kind of explains some of that.
It's been a long time, but
yeah.
So yeah, anybody expecting reparations or apologies for anything to do with slavery, this is the wrong platform for you. I guess that's all I got to say.
But I think the government has apologized for slavery several times. I think apologized to the American Indian for that genocide and all those guys. And I think they should issue apology. The government, right? But money when you're talking about this far out in time is crazy. Let's say this was 500 years later. Like, would you still have the same opinion? People still people like half a millennia later would have to pay for that. And you could extend that to a lot of things right throughout history. I think there's a lot of things that people have been wrong groups of people have been wrong throughout human history. Nobody more than the Jews, by the way. The Jews have been screwed a lot. So, I don't know. Does Egypt start paying the slaves, the Jews money too? I just don't know.
Boom, shakalaka boom. We are back. It's hour 2 of the Plead with Shaun Yurtkuran here on 103.9 FM. Excuse me, WYAB. Of course, we're streaming worldwide at WYAB.com as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge Auto Center right down there in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. Be sure to get out and see them guys today. You can shop them online, mercyhouseautocenter.com. You're looking for a vehicle in that $10,000 to $20,000 price range. They got you covered at Mercy House Auto Center. You got an old vehicle sitting out in the driveway, running or not. You want to get rid of it? Consider donating it. You ain't doing it for nothing, I promise. You're going to get a tax write-off, and it's going to be for a good cause, helping beat addictions and get fathers back in homes through their rehabilitation center there in Georgetown, Mississippi, Mercy House Adult and Teen Challenge. Look, man, helping beat addiction, get fathers back in homes, and helping get you a good, dependable vehicle out on the road, or helping get a old vehicle out of your yard, and you getting a tax write-off. Business owners out there, you got a fleet of vehicles that have they've reached the end of their life as far as you using them for professional purposes. Instead of trading them in and getting pennies on the dollar from a dealership, why don't you consider donating that fleet of vehicles to Mercy House and getting the tax write-off there as a charitable donation, because they are a 501c3 or 3C or however you say that. And look, that's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. Check them out today, mercyhouseautocenter.com. They will come and pick up those vehicles. You don't have to do anything except sign the title over, and boom, you get the tax write-off. It's that dang simple, and you can feel good about what you're doing. And again, if you need a vehicle, you're tired of doing the car lot hustle, tired of dealing with the Craigslist crazies, the marketplace maniacs, shop them online, mercyhouseautocenter.com. All right, Shaun Yurtkuran. We had a very, I wouldn't call it a heated conversation during the break, but we had a really good conversation with our online chatters about somebody was asking why Phil Bryant, if I'm reading it right, why Phil Bryant has not apologized for slavery in Mississippi. That turned into a conversation about reparations and whatnot. And I'm tired of talking about that stuff, but Kamala Harris does keep bringing up reparations for some reason. I guess she thinks it's politically advantageous over with her losing a lot of the black male vote. Maybe she mentions reparations, that it'll drum up some interest from black folks for her. I don't know, but I think it's a ridiculous conversation to have, because where does it stop? Where does it stop if you start doing reparations? Who all is responsible for it? Steve brought up a good point on here. He's like, what if, let me pull it up here. I just want to read this chat. I wasn't going to bring this to air, but this is a pretty piping hot conversation. Steve says, if I apologize for something, that means I did it. If I didn't do it, I'm not apologizing for it. And the same goes for the reparations side of it. If I had nothing to do with it, why should I pay for it?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me? Okay,
well, yeah, I want your input.
Oh, yeah, like I said on the online portion, I think, if you were saying that if actual slaves were still alive today, I'd be for it, right? If actual slaves, like this was like 1885, and we could give reparations for them for what they went through, that'd be fine. I think when you're talking 150 years later, though, it's a little insane. Like, I use the example of the Jews that survived the Holocaust. Now, a lot of them are dying out too. But if, there was some, Germany was like, we're going to pay reparations, I totally get that. I mean, I get that because these people are still alive that endured that stuff. But when you're talking like, century over century later, I think it's a little insane. But
all right, we got a call on the Mazda Jackson phone line. By the way, the phone line is 601-879-0002. Hey, you're on there.
Clay, I got something I need you to do for me, man. When Chokwe gets indicted, he's at that federal courthaus. I want you to be like a reporter. I want you to have your mic, have a cameraman. I want you to go live, baby.
I bought the wireless mics and a stick to put a mic on just to do it. Trust me when I tell you. If I find out when it's going down, I will be broadcast. If I had to skip the radio show that day and get somebody to come in and host it so I can go broadcast live and do my radio show by phone from in front of the courthouse, Clay, all day in 4K, will be out there.
I want you to ask him if he plans on freeing the land.
Oh, free! I think he's going to have moved on to the free the people part. He's going to be wanting free.
Ask him if he plans on freeing Kush or whatever the heck he calls it.
All right, I will be sure to ask him.
That will be Jackson Independence Day is what it'll be known as. Have a good day, Clay.
All right. That is a great point there. When Chokwe gets indicted, that will be the new Independence Day. That'll be our Juneteenth.
Yeah, somebody's going to play the Randy Quaid character,
But if let's just say it happens in November, it'll be November 10th.
Yeah, November 10th.
We've been freed
Bro.
from the Lumumba, from the tyranny of the Lumumbas.
I hope it's on Halloween, so it just scares the S out of him. People do reason to celebrate Halloween. So we we were going to go to the Bridget Todd stuff, isn't that?
Yeah. So I don't know anything about this, so you're going to have to bring me up to
yeah.
speed.
So yesterday, Bridget Todd and Kevin Camp, these are the attorneys for Carly Gregg, the 15-year-old when she got convicted, that was convicted for killing her mother at the end of September in Rankin County. And so she's been going on this interview tour lately, like all these podcasts, and it's very evident that this woman really enjoys her newfound celebrity status. And when she does go on these podcast interviews, she makes statements that are just quite incredible, And so she gave a interview with LBT with Kara Shirley. That's Kara's last name. Sorry, I know I don't want to mess it up. I'll have to look it up. But she did a really good interview with her. It was an hour and a half long, though. And she made statements in this interview that were borderline insane. And I'll give you one example here. So Kara asked her, what if Carly were to be released? Where's she going to live? And Bridget Todd says, the game plan was for her to come live with me. Okay, I wonder if that voids her life insurance policy. You're going to have the mother killer move in with you? That seems like a very close. And then Kara asked her, doesn't that make you too close to this case? Because lawyers aren't supposed to get that close with their clients. And that's not a really good idea. She speaks.
Well, we had heard that she had her calling her mom and stuff now.
Yeah, I heard that, right? That Carly Gregg was calling Bridget Todd mom, referring to her as her mother. So she just made these insane statements where she had said something that they should have got Carly a brain scan, and I've never heard of that being admissible in court, but apparently this woman believes that to be the case. She made many other statements about how they'd only got statements from law enforcement regarding the witness statements. Law enforcement took the witness statements. That the DA's office did not do that. The DA's office doesn't take witness statements unless it's to supplement, maybe a witness one of the investigators found, and we used to do that. The law enforcement works the files up. They're the investigative agency. The prosecutors prosecute. It seems like that she has no clue operatively how criminal procedure works, and I found that really crazy. And so anyway, so this goes on and on where she's saying things like this through this interview, and even I think Kara, you could kind of see her face like, what is going on here? Because it just sounds like insanity. Well, so then
crazy talk.
I mean, it was crazy talk. So then then after the interview, it's on one of those Facebook live streams like we do, right? And there was like 600 comments, of people kind of attacking her, some supporting her. Well, she goes on this Facebook stream, the comments, and starts attacking the people that were attacking her, like one by one. I've got, put some of those up on my Facebook. And it just seems like the better thing would have been just to shut up. I mean, you're representing this person. You don't need to attack online, haters. You know what I mean? Like that's not your role as the attorney to do that. And it strikes of a woman who's like just, I guess, fell in love with her own celebrity or coverage. And the bigger issue to me also was that it's very evident that she has no earthly idea what she's doing in a criminal context. I think the bar needs to look into it. It's really and I'm not saying Carly Gregg didn't deserve what she got. I think the prosecutors and Bubba's office did a great job. But
both things can be right.
Both things can be right. Yeah. I mean that there was definitely some, in my opinion, some incompetence, just sheer incompetence going on, and maybe some mental health issues is what I'm thinking. Because when you make a statement like she's going to move in with me, the killer. I just, what do you think about that?
That when she gets out?
Or like when she gets released early, the appeal works out? Or, I mean, the killer is going to move in with you?
I mean, to think she was going to get out.
Yeah, well, that's the first issue that, their defense of McNaught insanity. Well, and that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot there were so many things she said and I'd written them down, but I don't have them with me now. She said, Kara asked her, does Carly regret not taking the plea deal? And Bridget says, oh, no, she doesn't regret it at all. And I'm like, so she likes life without parole? Because I tell you what, if I got life without parole and I had been offered a plea deal for less time, I'd be regretting it. I would regret that I not take it. You know, so she said, no, she doesn't. It's the principal, the situation. Really? I mean, she didn't say that, but I'm paraphrasing. So it was, there's definitely looked to me to be some serious mental health issues, not with Miss Gray, but with Miss Todd, in my opinion. That's what I saw. But, and anybody can watch that interview. It's on WLBT's site. It is crazy town.
So you got a couple of screenshots here, and one of the commenters is one of our listeners who's watching right now, Miss Angela from the Mike magazine. Okay, and she had commented under there. I agree, and I don't know the context of where it and the conversation has happened, but you screenshot it, so I take it was worth entertaining here. Mm-hmm. Says, I agree the media shouldn't. This is what Angela said. Yep. Says, I agree the media shouldn't even want to be at pretrial, but they thrive on ratings. It is insensitive to the folks on trial. The court of public opinion is unfair, but we will fight to show up. And to that, Bridget said, yes, the past 3 high-profile criminal cases are now all being overturned because in case a juror was live tweeting the trial during the trial, and in the second one, a clerk made inappropriate statements to the jury, and months after the convictions to juror finally, I can't read all that. That's a bunch of word salad there.
Yeah, it's a little.
Let's see here. One of the others, I'm just trying to find something goofy. She said here.
There's one she refers to as Sandra Brown here. Like the Sandra Brown says, you don't know what. So this is now it's reminding me of things she said. So she says that Bridget Todd says that Carly's mother, Ashley Smiley, would be rolling over in her grave if she saw what happened to Carly, saying she got convicted for life without parole. But I'm like, but she put her in her grave. Like, Carly put her in her grave. So, but Bridget says, no, Ashley would be rolling over, wouldn't want to, see that. I'm like, okay, that sounds insane too. So somebody commented on that and says, you don't know what Carly's mom would have wanted. She committed the crime. Now do your time. And she said, Bridget Todd says, Sandra, how do you believe that you know more about what Carly's mom wanted than her own parents, sister, and husband? Well, I'm sorry, but how did her sister, husband, and parents know she got dead? You know what I mean? She got dead. Like, I don't have a kid, but if anybody in my family killed me, I wouldn't feel so favorably about that, no matter how much I love them. And so it was just statements like that.
If my sister killed my mom or my dad, I would not support my sister.
No, me either. Jasmine's listening. I would not. No.
And vice versa. I would expect the same thing. If I killed one of my parents in this fashion, not like accidentally in a car wreck because I pulled out in front of somebody or something like that, that's a different story. But if I intent, calculated, cold-blooded murder, killed one of my parents, I would not expect my sister to support me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, no, mine either. And, I'm sure she does the same about me. But, I doubt that Ashley Smiley's sitting there rolling around in her grave. I can't believe this happened. I
can't believe she got life for killing me.
For killing me. I mean, and maybe if she gets out, she can go move in with Bridget, and then Bridget may experience the same thing. You never know. I mean, if you're gonna have the killer move in with you, but the attacks that she gives this interview, and then she later goes on to Facebook to attack the commenters. It just seems something like that you wouldn't do in that context.
Angela commented here. She has a good comment on our live stream. She says, I don't know that it registered that she actually did it to Bridget.
Really? That she doesn't feel like she even committed the murder?
I mean, Angela suggests, if I'm reading this right, Angela suggests that, does it even register in Bridget's mind that Carly actually did it?
Right, yeah. That's, one of my, I'm not going to name them, but I think I told you this privately. One of my friends spoke to Bridget after the trial and said, oh, yeah, I was after the conviction. And he said, I'm so sorry that, this is a bad situation for everybody, because it is. It's a bad situation. I mean, a kid kills her mother. It's just nobody's winning here, right? It's a bad situation. And he just was kind of nice about it. And she said, oh, yes, Carly really loved Ashley. And my buddy said, loved her to death. Yeah. Because that's how out of touch she is. Like with this kind of, that you would even think that. It's, man, I tell you what, it's one of the craziest cases. I've seen a lot of crazy cases, but I've never seen an attorney become this, obsessed with the client.
It's almost like a fatal attraction, but with a kid.
Yeah, it's very, very odd.
One last comment here, and we got to take a break. Marshall on YouTube says, so the defense botched the case, and they want to blame everyone else or want a new trial for their own incompetence.
Yeah, and she was the way she told Kara is that she was going to do the appeal, and I'm like, oh, that ain't good for Carly, if she was going to do that, because considering she didn't seem to understand many of the issues here. I don't know. I just
it's like Chokwe destroying the water system. and expecting everybody else to fix it because it's so bad that they have to step in and do it.
And then he wants to control how they fix it and get the money. Like
I
after
tore it up, I get to control how it's fixed.
It's saying it's a good point.
Let's take a break. Yep. We'll be right back. All right, let's read some comments here. We're moving away from the reparations conversation. So y'all can talk about that all you want in the comments there. I've jumped down that rabbit hole as far as I'm going today. Which I don't mind having that conversation with y'all, but it'll consume the whole fucking show. Angela says, I know an attorney who formed a relationship with the DC sniper, and I think he is going to write a book about it. Well, I don't have a problem with that, but was he planning on getting him out of jail and moving him in with him and making him becoming his legal guardian?
Yeah, I don't, And I'm close with someone. I like my clients, I mean, there's a lot of them I really like. I do like. I don't know if I'm having them move into my house, I think, you need to have some professional separation. Even sometimes, I let my clients call me on weekends and I'll talk to them and I don't mind doing that. But sometimes like you've got to have a little space between what you're doing. Because also the other problem is this, like if you become too emotionally involved in anything, your judgment's not good. And your lawyer, you need to be a tactician. You need to be strategic. You can't be making emotional decisions when you're in a trial. And that was what she actually said that in another podcast that what they had was called a Miller hearing. That's the sentencing hearing, and to see whether what she would get life with or without parole. Well, Ms. Todd said that she was too emotional to call any witnesses. Well, see, that's the problem right there, that you were not thinking clearly enough to actually call witnesses in support of your position, and she should get less time. So I think that's a huge issue.
Well, it's kind of the same reason. I mean, a little different, but the same reason that on domestic stuff, the victim doesn't get to make the decision on prosecution.
100%, they do not. It's the state. It's the state of Mississippi versus whoever, not the victim. Now, you consult with the victim, and the law says you got to do that. So you do that, Victims' Rights Act. But you don't have to do what they say, and you shouldn't.
Like regular assault, like a simple assault, if I choose not to press charges, it goes away, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of the times, like in the misdemeanor context, you'd have to, unless you were like caught in the act by the police, where they did the police did a warrant. But if you're not going to go there on a misdemeanor, but now if you were aggravated assault and somebody shot you, and the police came out there, then no, it's going to be up to the and I've got several cases where I have to deal with this. It'd be up to the DA's office to decide they wanted to get rid of. They want you could recommend that to them, but they don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just like, Todd Martis is a good example, right?
Yeah.
The defendant, Mr. Martis's wife, didn't want the DA's office to prosecute him, but they were like, we don't just prosecute for victims, we prosecute for the peace and dignity against the state of Mississippi. Like that's what you do to protect the citizens of the state of Mississippi. So it's not just about the victims, and I think people sometimes don't understand that.
Applewhite says Todd would start writing a book and then couldn't find the notes she wrote.
That's right. Someone have to show her. Oh God, let's just pray to God she writes the book.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because can you imagine that perspective? It'd certainly be a fiction novel when she was done with it. I think after what I really think she needs to be evaluated for some sort of. I'm not talking about Carly. I'm talking about Bridget Todd. I think there's certainly exhibiting some sort of mental illness there, in my mind, in my opinion. Of course, I'm not an expert on this, but it's not what's gone on in this. I mean, we talked about the cartoon that she sent Carly that had like a duck with its knife through its beak. I mean, like, and that they found in Carly's jail cell that Todd had sent her. I mean, why would you send a cartoon with a knife? And it said something like they're going to F around and find out, something to that effect. On this cartoon, that they were trying to admit during sentencing.
All right, welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here with Shaun Yurtkuran. This segment brought to you by Home Hearing Healthcare. Do you often need to turn up the volume on your radio or TV? Is it difficult to hear in loud places like restaurants? Has someone close to you mentioned that you might have a problem with your hearing? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then take the first step toward better hearing and schedule an evaluation with Dr. Carrie Tilly Snyder at Home Hearing Healthcare. They have a hybrid audiology clinic offering both in-home and in-office patient care in the greater Jackson metro area. Visit homehearinghealthcare.com to request an appointment today. Guys, long story short, if you're having any hearing issues, try to jump in front of it now. Get you a good hearing test. Go see what's available. Maybe they can help it through some medicines and whatnot, or maybe you're going to have to get a hearing aid of some sort. They've come a long, long way. If you're a Gen Xer or older, it used to be a big clunky piece that kind of wrapped around your ear. Now everybody's wearing earbuds in their ear all the time. They look just like some Apple earbud type things. Nobody will even know you're wearing a hearing aid, and they'll also double as AirPods. So they've come a long, long way where people don't know that you actually got a hearing aid in your ear. Check them out now, Home Hearing Healthcare. Make sure I'm telling you the right website, homehearinghealthcare.com. Shaun, as per usual, the Bridget Todd stuff is
pretty popular.
Pretty popular topic. Text message. Somebody is telling me that I need to quit going out so much, or somebody's going to start supporting my girlfriend while I'm out. I think that is a bit crossing the line, and I don't go out a whole lot. I eat lunch, and if I go out, I take her with me. So I'm not quite sure what you're talking about there.
Okay.
Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Unknown texter. This is the first time they've ever texted. So Bridget Todd is insane, allegedly, of course. A close friend of mine went to divorce court in Rankin County in a custody battle for his children. Bridget Todd was the attorney for his ex-wife. She sat his children down and told them that they didn't need a daddy, and she was their new mother. She literally said, "I am your new mother. You have two moms now."
Well, that's something that I'd also heard, too, so you brought that up, that she, in one of these podcasts, she referenced her children, but she doesn't have any.
Yeah.
So that's what I was told. I don't know how true all that is, whether she has kids or not, or maybe she was referring she had stepkids. I don't know how that worked out. I did say this to the online group. The interesting thing, the state was trying to introduce a cartoon in the sentencing hearing, in the Miller hearing. And it was a cartoon that was recovered in Carly Gregg's cell, and it depicted some sort of duck or bird with a knife through its beak, and it said something like, kind of like your shirt, they're going to F-A-F-O, something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what it said. And it was signed Bridget Todd. And it just seemed like, why would you send somebody that? And so the state was trying to introduce that for the sentencing hearing. The judge correctly, I believe, did not allow that. I don't blame the state too, because I used to do stuff like that. But I would have tried to get in. The judge, I think, correctly left that out. But it's crazy town. I mean, that's straight up crazy town. So
we heard from other people that when these type cases, she'll just show up to court and try to, when children are involved, and just randomly try to adopt the kids and stuff. Something to that extent.
Something like that. I've heard that from several people, right? And that's.
Is this an example, a great example here of a she-boss that put her career in front of starting a family, and now that she's in her, I presume, mid to late 40s, maybe mid-40s. I don't know her biological, anatomical situation, but maybe can't have kids, or not in a situation where she's with somebody, whatever the case may be, whenever she does not have children of her own.
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate, but could this be one of those, I put my career in front of starting a family and now I regret it and I want to adopt every kid I see?
It could be. I've met professional women that are in that situation, and I'm not to this extent.
And I'm not knocking that either, by the way, if that's the decision you made, but could we see there could be some regret there from a personal life decisions because you put your career in front of, and I just think at the end of the day, it is women's natural instinct as the creatures we are. It is their natural instinct to want to be motherly.
Yeah.
And she sees these kids in need. I guess I'm actually making an argument in her defense here, but whatever. That she sees these kids in a bad situation and wants to be this motherly figure for them. And I think guys do that in a different way. Like, we find girls that we think with daddy issues.
Yeah.
And we think we can fix them. We can save them.
We can save them.
We can save them. Where I think women seem to do it with children.
Yeah.
And I don't mean in an inappropriate manner at all.
No, I know what you're trying to say.
And I think as guys, we do it with women in an inappropriate manner.
Because I don't think we're good. I think we're just not good with little children. Men are just not good. Most of us, are not.
It's not we're hunter gatherers.
Yeah.
Women are nurturers and breeder. Whatever.
Right. True. I think that's I mean, I don't think my dad dealt with me till I was like 12. I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying. Like,
same with my daughter. I mean, my daughter have a much better relationship now in her 20s than we did in her 10s. Her pre-teens and stuff.
Yeah,
I just think that's just the natural human reaction.
So do I.
I was not Mr. Mom.
Yeah, I don't see kids running around like, oh, cute. I'm just like, oh god, those things are expensive, and then they yell a lot. But teenagers, I think, are cool. Like they're because they're becoming adults. So I think it's just different. But yeah, no, it could be that. Maybe she filling a void in her. But I tell you what, it's a crazy void though. Like it's extended to a different kind of point.
It has. I mean, so I think maybe initially it started off this in its right place, but then you get a text like that with her sitting down and telling these kids that are going through a divorce that she's their second mom now.
Yeah, I mean, and she's having the murder defendant.
Let me say this: allegedly, of course, I don't know that to be fact, but why would anybody make that up?
Yeah, I mean, people, as Trump said, people are saying, right? That's what I hear. And then, I think the
pretty great.
Yeah, pretty great. I think, I'm hearing I think I've heard that during the trial, though, that, Carly was calling her mom. Obviously, she just on Kara's interview yesterday, she basically admitted to this, saying that Carly was going to come move into my house. And, at some point, had she been, maybe found not guilty, or if she's released on appeal or whatever it is. But, it's definitely, and then I said that, in the online portion, the issue I have with that is that, as a lawyer, I don't think you want to be too emotional. I mean, you get emotional about cases, of course you can, but, because then you make bad decisions when you're emotional. Emotion breeds bad decisions. You're not thinking clearly. And for instance, she made a comment on another podcast where she didn't call any witnesses during what's called the Miller hearing, which was a sentencing hearing, because she was too emotional. Like Bridget Todd was too emotional. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but your job as a lawyer is not to be too emotional, to be strategic and represent your client. And you should have called some mitigation experts or whoever else you needed to call during that hearing to prevent her from getting life without parole. That is your job. Well, if you cannot effectively do your job, then you need to get somebody else to do it. That's the problem. And I think even Kara kind of pointed that out to her during the interview, is like, don't you think you're too closely connected to make rational decisions? And obviously she admitted that she was.
I understand. I'm a big believer in there's no publicity is bad publicity within reason. Mm-hmm. I think there's some things that are bad publicity. Yeah. You don't want to catch rape accusations. And, yeah, right. I think there's some just obvious things that you don't want to be accused of being a pedophile. Mm. There's obviously some bad in sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is the new buzzword.
Or like an actual Nazi. If you're at a rally with a flag, you don't want to be that guy.
There is some bad publicity out there, and I don't know if she's trying to use this mentality of all of this is good publicity for me. I'm building my brand. I'm the most popular lawyer in town right now. Yeah, but you're on a losing streak. And I don't know that anybody's looking at this thinking this went so splendidly well for you that I now want you as my attorney if I FAFO. I know I wouldn't.
I was thinking the same thing you were thinking yesterday. It's a great point. I was thinking the same thing you're saying right now yesterday when I was watching Kara's interview, because Todd has gone on a series of these podcasts, interviews. And I'm like, what are you promoting? I mean, you're not Johnny Cochran. You didn't just get OJ off. Like, your client's 15 and got life without parole.
When there was a deal on the table that you should have taken.
That you should have taken. You possibly could have got even less than the 40. I think you could have got, what I hear is like 30. And so, like, it's not like you just did this. I think she's doing it like, what I think a podcast and all interviews, I think she's in love with her own press right now, but I also think she's trying to go on this crusade with, like, the state of Mississippi is evil for prosecuting a child for, murdering her mother. Like, they shouldn't have done, like, what were they going to do? Just let her go? I mean, like, yep, sorry, you get a hall pass on that. Like, they couldn't have done that. So, I think she's kind of going on that kind of tour where, like, she's like, it's like the state of Mississippi is evil, the ranking DA's office is evil, and I'm the protector of a child.
A murdering psychopath.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
What was that movie, The Good Child?
Oh, yeah.
They killed his Macaulay Culkin was in it, I think.
Oh, that's right.
It was like the step kid. And anyway, let me read these texts real quick on the Guns of Gear text line. We got to take a break, but I think there's a nice explanation point on the end of this, and I want to change subjects when we come back. Unknown texter. I think the, quote, bad representation was deliberate as to get a mistrial or a retrial, and then says the actions that Ms. Todd did were not the actions of an attorney that doesn't know any better. These actions were deliberate and calculated. Do you think that she's sly like a fox?
I don't agree with that. I don't think that at all. I think it's very obvious to me that she's very inexperienced when it comes to criminal practice, and didn't know. Now Kevin Camp's very experienced, so he's a good lawyer. But I think it looks like he was taking a backseat on this thing, kind of being like, yeah, all right, Bridget, you do what you want. But no, it was clear to me she didn't know what she was doing, and I think if she did know what she was doing, this is why I don't agree with that. Then they would have taken the plea deal, because no doctor, even the one they got, the one they got said, yes, she exhibited McNaughton insanity, what's called McNaughton insanity, but she also said she covered up the crime, which McNaughton insanity, for everybody again, is you couldn't appreciate the difference between right and wrong. Well, if you cover up your crime, then you obviously did. And the doctor even said that. So once you had that, there was no McNaughton defense in my mind.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Well, we're shifting gears to Trump on Rogan and a few national topics around that. We'll be right back with Shaun Yurtkuran on The Clay Edwards Show. I guess we can run through a few texts. We can put an explanation point on this conversation during the break here.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Because we got a lot of comments here. Yeah. Let's see. We got a text in on the Guns and Gear text line kind of at the end of that. It says you can't have a retrial or appeal a deal that they had to go. Let me start over. You can't have a retrial or appeal a deal they had to go and let the jury decide. I don't know if I 100% understand that.
Well, he's saying you can't appeal a guilty plea, which is correct, right? Mm-hmm. But if you had done the guilty plea, she would receive significantly less time than she did, which is all the time because you got life without parole. Yeah, that's all your time. The jury was going to decide. There was no option but guilty once you're not proven McNaughton insane. Like there's no other option because it wasn't a whodunit. She did it. Yeah. It's like there's no question about that. It was whether she appreciated the difference between right and wrong at the time. Well, the doctors testified. Her own doctor said, she covered the crime up. That's it. Yeah. That is it right
there. She knew to cover. That's a great point.
Because why are you going to cover the crime up? Now, they had gone to what I heard several doctors that were giving them opinions that she was not McNaughton insane. And, of course, you're right as defense counsel. You don't have to use those doctors to disclose that. That makes perfect sense. So they've shopped around until they found some guy that was willing to stretch it a little bit, and say, yeah, she didn't, but she also covered it up, which sounds completely ridiculous to me. But, and the jury was going to do, and there is not one person that would have voted not guilty on that case. I don't care who sat on it, how your sympathies were. And I imagine, when they saw that video and saw that she covered it up, that was the end of the day.
William and Brandon text in on the Guns and Gear text line says, could Carly get a retrial based on an incomplete attorney? I think
it's called ineffective assistance of counsel.
And what he says in finishing isn't Kevin Camp known as a DUI attorney? But no, I think he's a criminal defense attorney, and there's not like DUI specific.
Yeah, no, he's very experienced. Kevin, I've tried several cases against Kevin. He's been doing this for 30-some years. He's always been very competent. It's not him to me. It seems like this is not the issue. It's her. And, it's called ineffective assistance of counsel. The problem that Carly Gregg is going to have is you can't claim that as a issue on appeal unless you obtain a new appellate lawyer. So the same sort of simply the lawyer that tried the case and handled it can't call themselves ineffective in the appeal if they're handling the appeal. You have to have a different lawyer to do that. Now, Ms. Todd said yesterday during Kara's interview that she is going to handle the appeal, and I can imagine the F up that's going to be. Like, it's just going to be just like total fiction and stuff. Just based upon what I've observed. So, so I don't think she's going to get that issue because she's not going to be able to claim it if Ms. Todd does the appeal.
At some point, can the judge remove? I guess if the can Todd be removed from this situation legally?
It'd be really hard, I think. The judge would have to. I think if the judge already ruled on the motion for new trial in JNOV, and he didn't have a hearing on it, even though it appeared that she had fabricated some things or at least misrepresented them in the thing about what happened with Kevin Gregg's interview on WLBT. So I don't know at this point that anybody can do that. I think she's got competent attorney Kevin Camp and one that, in my opinion, isn't competent, Ms. Todd. I don't know that the judge can do that at this point, or what mechanism he could do that. So no, I don't think so. I think maybe the bar could step in if they're willing to. If somebody files a bar complaint like the DA's office did, which is what I would recommend them to do after what we all witnessed. I think maybe they have this thing called the Lawyer's Assistance Program for lawyers struggling with like dependency. I don't know that she's got an alcohol issue, whatever, but mental health issues too, I think. And I think that would be the appropriate avenue for this. But
all right, let's end it there. Appreciate you guys on the Bridget Todd stuff. A lot of comments there. Corey chimes in and says Bridget should be Chokwe's attorney.
Yeah, right. That's it.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYAB with Shaun Yurtkuran in the passenger seat. We've been going at it this morning. Hour one was dedicated to the Chokwe corruption scandal in Jackson. The first half of hour two to Bridget Todd and Carly Gregg. Before we get into Joe Rogan and Donald Trump, this segment will be brought to you by our friends over at A1 Gear and Auto, right there on Highway 49 South in Florence, Mississippi. If you're having any automotive issues, swing by or get it towed to A1 Gear and Auto. Let Justin and the team get you taken care of today, whether it's check engine light, air conditioning not blowing cold, squeaky brakes, or a full-blown rebuild. They can do it all. The only thing they don't do is diesel engine repair. They can work on anything else to do with your diesel vehicle. They just aren't going to do diesel engine internal repair. But what they actually specialize in, what they have been the leader in the industry in for the last 16, 17 years, is your ring and pinion work. So if you take it to your mechanic and he talks about needing to send it to a specialist for your ring and pinion, tell them to send it on down to A1 Gear and Auto. Or if you're familiar enough with the problems of your vehicle and you know it's your ring and pinion, skip your regular mechanic and take it on down to A1 Gear and Auto. Let them get you taken care of today. Let me tell you this. All you guys love to buy these Jeeps and these big trucks and jack them up, put these big wheels and tires on it. You're throwing your ring and pinion all out of whack and the geometry all out of whack when you do that. I've done it plenty of times myself, so I speak from personal experience here. You need to upgrade your ring and pinion, put a bigger gear or a lower gear is what it's called in the at minimum in the rear end. If you want to be able to use your four-wheel drive, you need to match them in the front also. But get by there because you're losing a ton of power when you do that. You also need to upgrade your brakes, bigger brakes and all that if you're putting bigger wheels and tires on there. But all that aside, if you're upgrading wheels and tires, you need to upgrade your ring and pinion as well. A1 Gear and Auto's got you covered. You can ride by there any given time and see a bunch of Jeeps out in the parking lot. Jeep folks trust them. That's A1 Gear and Auto, Florence, Mississippi, Highway 49 South. If you're heading south on 49, look to your right, big white building, big red sign as soon as you get through Richland on your right there. All right, Shaun. Good morning to everybody watching us online. Good morning to everybody out there in your cars, listening to us on the FM radio. We are streaming in 4K on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Save JXN. We're on Rumble. Search Clay Edwards Show. Donald Trump, it's official. This Friday will be on Joe Rogan, and we are just that much closer to Shaun having to pay me $100 because Kamala does not appear to be coming on as of right now.
As of today, we don't know that. We still got less than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
She could go on next week, for all we know.
I just don't see it happening. But, hey, neither here nor there. I hope it does. I mean, yeah. I'm not pulling against it. I mean, like I said, Shaun, I look at it like I would pay $100 to watch it on pay-per-view.
Right. Okay.
So it's like I'm trying to will it into existence by betting against it because I have such a terrible streak of losing bets that I make. So I 100% want to see it. So I'm trying to play like a little reverse psychology by betting against it happening.
I bet. Well, I think a lot of it's going to depend on Trump's performance on there on Friday too, right? I mean, I think if he does poorly, then maybe she doesn't go on there. But if he does well, maybe then she does.
I just can't fathom her doing well on there.
I mean, I'm not saying she is or she isn't.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just running through my head here. I just can't fathom, based on anything we've seen from her, that she's going to have a good sit-down 3-hour conversation where she's held accountable.
Yeah, I mean, she's not been the best interviewer for sure. But I also, like I told you before last time we talked about this, I have some. I want to see how Trump handles it as well. Now, the ones he's gone on, he's done very well, but they've all been very friendly too. There's not been a a real conversational kind of thing. It's all been funny stuff, and Theo Vaughn and Schultz and stuff. It's not been a back and forth yet. So I'd like to see that.
Did you watch PBD
with
Trump?
How long? Which one was that? I feel like I've seen one with him.
Well, they've only done one.
When was that?
It was a couple days ago.
Okay, no, I have not seen that. No.
Yeah,
I'll watch that.
To me, it's the best one.
Okay,
because PBD, because I've been calling him like a fanboy and all that, even when he was trying to pitch Rogan on doing it.
Yeah, I listened to that. I listened to that episode when Rogan kind of mad at him for a while during that.
Yeah, but so he just pitched it so hard, but I got to give him credit. He kept Trump on track. He would ask Trump questions, and Trump would try to start going down rabbit holes, and he would pull him back.
Okay.
Respectfully. But he's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Here's the answer I want. Or here's what I'm asking you.
I got you.
And he really kept Trump on. He was a good taskmaster. Maybe that's the best way to say it.
How long is it?
A good hour and a half.
Really? Okay, I'm going to watch it. I did not know he was on there.
Yeah.
Because I usually watch it.
I thought I sent it to the group text. I must have just sent it to Fred. I was driving, multitasking.
Yeah.
Anyway, phenomenal. I thought it was the best one of all these he's done, and I've watched almost every one of them.
Yeah, I've watched all of them too. And that's where I'm, but you would agree, PBD is a fanboy of Trump. He loves Trump. I mean, he's a big fan of Trump. So, Joe Rogan, I don't think he's got like TDS or anything like that, but I wouldn't consider him Trump's biggest fan either.
No, I think we're going to get the most honest, and I think Rogan's going to do a good job of keeping him on track as well.
Me too.
He's not going to let him jump down these rabbit holes. In the Black Barbershop interview thing, roundtable thing he did the other day.
Yes, I saw that too.
They asked him about what he was going to do for New York's failing schools, and it really wasn't a question they should have asked him because that's a state and a local issue that he doesn't have anything to do with. And he went straight to the Board of Education and the transgender stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think plays very well with black males because I think at the end of the day they don't want dudes playing girl sports and all that stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think it was a bad play, but it was just irrelevant to the question.
Yeah, right. It was, yeah.
When he should have just said, that's because y'all elect poor leaders here locally.
Really is what it was. I mean, I know Sager and Crystal actually called that out. That's where I caught that through that was just but they did make the same comment you made.
I disagree with Crystal, but I think Sager said it right that's something that bothers men. It appears to bother men more than it does women.
I think so too. Okay, so you saw the same thing I saw.
I watched that thing you sent me.
Okay, yeah, Sager said that transgender issue bothers men and particularly black men more than it bothers women, which I think that's probably true.
We got a text here, and this is something that's been taken out of context. So I was kind of wrong the other day. Not wrong, but it was so much information out there. I was thinking about one thing, you were talking about another. Somebody just texted on the Guns and Gear text line and said, Rogan said good things about Kamala on his podcast the other day. He said she could win. He was talking about and I saw the whole thing last night. He was talking about, but due to the propaganda from the media constantly against Trump, and he said he was fed up with the propaganda. He did not want to see her win because of propaganda.
I gotcha.
He wanted, if she was going to win, she needed to win on the merits. And I think that is finally what pushed him over the edge to bring Trump on.
I gotcha.
Because he had been against bringing Trump on because he said he didn't want to help. He did not want to help Trump win.
Right.
But he's seen this propaganda campaign. He said he's seen things happen that he never thought would happen in the media. And that's why he says she could win. I don't know if you want to say that as he was being nice or take that as a compliment, whatever. Take that for what it's worth. But that was the context.
I gotcha.
That it was set in.
Was that yesterday's podcast?
No, it's a clip from a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
That keeps resurfacing, and people are saying that he said good things about her. He said she could win. But it was in context of all the propaganda from the mainstream media.
I mean, what I read. Yesterday I went and read some things that he said about. He said that he thought she did a good job in the debate. Right? He did say that. So his rhetoric on Trump has shifted too. So in 2022. He said he called him a threat to democracy, and Rogan actually said this. But then he shifted to he thought that he had done some good things, and he's kind of shifted his opinion on him, since 2022. Yeah. So I think, but I think he still holds. He said this about Kamala and Trump in August when RFK was still running. That RFK was the only one talking positive, and Trump and Kamala were talking negative. And that he respected RFK for that. So and that was before RFK actually endorsed Trump. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting how I don't think he's bought in on Trump at all. I think he'll be fair. Like, I think he'll be fair. Like, I don't think he's going to do, like be biased on it. I think it's going to be a fair interview. And I think you're right. I don't think he's going to let Trump jump down these little rabbit holes. He's going to ask him about the election, and all that stuff. He's going to, I mean, those are questions I want to hear. So.
No, me too. I know he wants to. I know one of the things he wants to ask him is, what's it like when you become president? Like that day one when they sit you down and they tell you all the stuff. Like, what is that? What is that like? How does that change you? I mean, I think I'm just looking forward to it because I am looking forward to it not being an adversarial or friendly.
Right. That's what I want to. Yeah.
Like a real conversation. I think this is Rogan's moment. Mm-hmm. Is he the guy that we all think he is? On both sides, I mean, I think he does a really good job of pissing both sides off equally a lot
he does.
with his, just being himself.
Yeah.
Can he maintain that true? I think he's unbiased. Mm-hmm. I truly do. Can he maintain that? For this, not be overwhelmed by the moment. I don't think he will be. I think he's going to hit a grand. I think we're going to get whatever we expect out of this.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's done it with someone, and nobody as big as Trump. Obviously,
sure.
That's the But I mean, I see one of my favorite Rogan interviews was with Sanjay Gupta talking about the during the pandemic. You remember that?
I mean, he took him to task.
It took him to task, and and Gupta actually ended up agreeing with them on a lot of stuff. So I think you're going to see a lot of that here. And I don't. And you know what also would be nice? I don't think anybody after this, if it goes poorly for Trump or goes well for Trump, can sit there and be like, "Well, Rogan was biased one way or the other." No. I just hope you don't. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be internet trolls saying stuff like that, but
100%. There's going to be people who's all the left. If it goes good for Trump, the left's going to be like, he's in on him.
Right.
If it goes, it's going to go. You're going to have people on both sides no matter what. Let's take a break.
Yep.
Come back, land the plane for the day. We'll be right back. Kind of got tongue twisted there.
Yeah.
We're up against the wall time wise. Let's see here. Pull it back to the live. All right, guys, let's hit a couple of your comments real quick, and we're going to log off of the online here during this break. Shaun, people are asking if you're still going to vote for Kamala.
I'm actually in trial that week, and I may not even vote. So I don't know if I have time because I got to get here and do the election show with you Tuesday night.
Go absentee.
Can I go absentee now? Can you?
Yeah.
Or is that deadline over with?
Yeah, no, you can still go.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. I'm skipping the Bridget Todd comments.
I mean, it's like in Mississippi. It's like, why? If you're a Democrat, why vote? I mean, it's Joe Trump's going to win by 20 points.
Well, I guess what people want to know is like, just given the condition of the country and what they've done, would you still
I'll answer
vote
it
for that or still supporting it?
I'll answer this. So I took a policy test yesterday, right? Like they were offering on something about, and they didn't tell you whose policy it was, right? It was actually in the Washington Post, and they so you take the test and it's like 8 questions, different things you agree with. You can kind of tell who's for who, but it's not overt. And so my results came back. I agreed with 3 issues with Kamala Harris and 3 issues with Donald Trump. It was exactly. I laughed about that. I was like, let's see. So my answer to that question, I don't really care who wins, to be honest with you. I really don't.
And here's an interesting comment. This is from a female. Now we know that they've been on this podcast tour to try to sway men. Mm-hmm. Amy says J.D. Vance was on the Theo Von's newest episode. Came out this week. I think it came out yesterday or whatever. And she says he came across as down-to-earth, funny, and intelligent. So this is a female that's watching these quote-unquote male-driven podcasts and coming away with a positive opinion.
Well, I mean, I think he's he performed very well in that debate. I think that's kind of changed a lot of people's opinions about him.
Yeah.
The debate that he did was an excellent performance.
And Steven's saying the same thing that I originally said, that Rogan is suing them over that. He was talking about Tulsi.
Rogan said he was not suing them though.
Well, he had said on the podcast he was going to sue them. That came out. Those words came out of his mouth.
But he wasn't talking about Tulsi when he said Kamala did a good job in the debate. I mean, I read that verbatim, listened to it. I mean,
yeah. Rogan does a lot of talking. There's multiple things. Steven, I said the same thing. There is a clip of him actually talking about Kamala.
Yep.
So both things are right.
Yeah, I mean, I think both things are right. I mean, because there is a part where he said he didn't say that. I know one Steven's talking about, but he did specifically say he thought Kamala did well in the debate. Yeah. Now,
and my rebuttal to that is, which is irrelevant to him saying it, but is, of course she did well. She didn't get fact checked for a single one of her lies. She sat up there and lied in a scripted debate, and she knew the questions. So that is my rebuttal for why she quote unquote did good in the debate. Mm-hmm. When they sat there and it was 3-on-1. Now I don't think anybody can argue that. Troy asked who's doing early voting. I am today, Troy.
You're going to early vote today?
Yep.
Why do you get
absentee, whatever you want to call it?
You can do absentee because you're busy that day, or is that how it works?
I'm going to be out of town, Shaun.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be out of town. That's right.
Yeah, my plans may change, but as right now, I'm going to be out of town.
Gotcha. Do you just go to the circuit clerk's office and do that? I don't even know how that works. Like, I've always voted on election day.
I did it in 16 down in Hines County. Went to circuit clerk or whatever.
Really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ain't got to go stand.
I may go do that too because I don't I don't know if I can get there on election day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough.
All right, everybody online, thank y'all for tuning in today. We're gonna sign on off from here. We'll say our quick farewells on the radio when we come back. Y'all circle the calendar. The Saturday Shuckers next Friday. Come join me live out at 042 Wine and Spirits. I'll be back on here later today. Peace out. Again to the Clay Edwards Show. As we wind it down and land the plane for the day, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We hit a lot of good topics. We had a couple more we left on the table, but we'll get back to those Friday unless something changes. And when news breaks, we break with it. I did just hear there's been a bad school bus wreck up in Gluckstadt, getting multiple reports. Madison County school bus involved in multi-vehicle crash. Don't know what school, don't know what bus. Opening up the app here. Y'all can go check that out on WLBT or WJTV. If you have kids on a Madison County school bus, you may want to look into it. Prayers for everybody. Hopefully no injuries involved in that. I'll be back here tomorrow. Coming up next, today is Wednesday. We got Mike Madison up next, followed by Jameson Haygood. And then you got a couple shows there, Charlie Kirk, Dana Lesh in the middle of the day, and, of course, Kim Wade, Radio Strongman, bringing it home from 4 to 6 live every afternoon. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the most incendiary show on the radio and online, The Clay Edwards Show.